The massive alien fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the blue planet on his screen. His species, the Dominion, had conquered 1,000 worlds across the galaxy. Earth would be number 1001. "Sir, we are detecting primitive radio signals from the planet," said his Lieutenant Cora. "They appear to have basic technology. Nuclear weapons at most." Vex laughed. His laugh sounded like grinding metal. "Nuclear weapons? How amusing. Our shields can withstand the explosion of a star." Begin the broadcast. The Dominion fleet consisted of 500 warships. Each ship was 10 kilometers long, covered in weapons that could turn continents into glass. They had never lost a battle. They had never even taken serious damage in their conquests. On Earth, every television, radio, and computer screen suddenly showed the same image. A tall, gray-skinned alien with 4 arms and black eyes appeared. People stopped in the streets. Cars pulled over. The entire world held its breath. "People of Earth," Commander Vex spoke through the universal translator. "I am Commander Vex of the Dominion Empire. Your planet now belongs to us. You have 1 hour to surrender. If you resist, we will destroy your cities one by one until you submit." This is not a negotiation. The transmission ended. Panic started to spread across Earth's cities. But in a secret bunker deep under a mountain, General Tom Wilson turned to his team. He was an old soldier with gray hair and tired eyes, but those eyes now burned with determination. "Contact the Council," Wilson said calmly. "Tell them it's time to show our hand." "Sir, are you sure?" asked Captain Noria, his second in command. "We've kept this secret for 50 years. We knew this day would come," Wilson replied. "Humanity has been preparing ever since we found that crashed alien ship in 1970. Every nation, every leader for the past 5 decades has been working toward this moment. Deep beneath every major city on Earth, massive doors began to open. Doors that had been hidden for half a century. In space, satellites that looked like communication arrays started to unfold into something else entirely. Back on the Dominion flagship, Lieutenant Cora noticed something strange on her sensors. "Commander, I'm detecting energy signatures from the planet, but these readings don't make sense. The power levels are are what?" Vex asked, annoyed. "Sir, they're impossible. No planet at this technology level should be able to generate this much energy." Vex waved his 4 arms dismissively. "A malfunction in our sensors. The humans probably set off some nuclear weapons in panic. It doesn't matter. Begin the attack." The Dominion fleet moved toward Earth in perfect formation. 500 ships, each one capable of destroying a planet on its own. They had traveled across the galaxy, crushing every civilization that stood in their way. The Dominion believed they were the apex predators of the universe. They were about to learn that Earth was not like other planets. On Earth, General Wilson stood in the command center, watching dozens of screens showing the approaching fleet. Around him, officers from every nation worked together. American, Russian, Chinese, Indian, European, African, all of humanity united for this moment. "Distance to Earth?" Wilson asked. "They've passed Mars' orbit, sir. They'll be in range in 10 minutes, Captain Noria reported. "Good. Let them come closer. I want them to see Earth clearly when we teach them their last lesson." Wilson picked up a red phone. It connected him directly to the world's leaders. "This is Wilson. Operation Guardian is authorized. All nations, all systems, go active." The transformation of Earth began. What the aliens thought was a primitive world was about to reveal its true face. Humanity had spent 50 years reverse engineering alien technology, improving it and preparing for this exact moment. The sheep's clothing was about to come off, and the wolf underneath was hungry. Asterisk Commander Vex watched Earth grow larger on his view screen. The blue and green planet looked so peaceful, so defenseless. He had seen this same view 1,000 times. Before, a beautiful world about to become another colony of the Dominion Empire. 5 minutes until we reach optimal firing range, announced Cora. Should I prepare the ground forces for invasion after the bombardment? Yes, Vex said, settling into his command chair. Target their major cities first. London, New York, Tokyo, Moscow. Once we destroy those, the rest will surrender quickly. But something strange was happening on Earth. The planet's entire surface began to shimmer. What looked like a heat wave started spreading across continents. In space, the innocent-looking satellites started to connect to each other with beams of blue energy. Commander, Cora's voice was sharp with alarm. The planet's magnetic field is increasing rapidly. It's not natural. Someone is controlling it. Vex stood up, his forearms tense. What do you mean, controlling it? Before Cora could answer, Earth revealed its first surprise. The shimmer around the planet solidified into a massive shield, covering the entire world in a dome of golden energy. But this was not just any shield. It was made from the same technology the Dominion used, but somehow improved, refined, made stronger. Impossible, Vex shouted. They're using Dominion shield technology. But how? On Earth, General Wilson allowed. Himself a small smile. Phase 1 complete. The planetary shield is active. Now, let's show them Phase 2. Across Earth, hidden bases revealed themselves. Mountains split open. Desert sands fell away. Ocean waters parted. From these hidden places, ships began to rise. Not primitive Earth ships, but sleek vessels that combined human engineering with alien technology. Thousands of them, each one. Small but deadly. The Earth fleet was nothing like the Dominion's massive warships. Human ships were only 100 meters long, built for speed and precision. They moved like a swarm of angry wasps, accelerating to speeds that made the Dominion's computers struggle to track them. Sir, I'm counting. 3,000 enemy vessels, Cora reported, her voice shaking. No, wait, 5,000. 7,000, sir. They keep coming. All ships open fire. Vex commanded. Destroy them. The Dominion fleet unleashed their weapons. Beams of red energy that could split asteroids in half shot toward the Earth ships. But the human vessels moved, like they knew where each shot would go before it was fired. They danced between the beams, spinning and diving with impossible grace. Then the Earth ships fired back. Instead of energy beams, the human ships launched something the Dominion had never seen before. Small black missiles that seemed to bend. Space around them. When they hit the Dominion shields, they didn't explode. Instead, they passed through the shields like they weren't even there. Our shields aren't stopping them. Cora screamed. How is this possible? The missiles hit the hull of the first Dominion warship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire ship began to collapse in on itself, crushed by its own gravity. In seconds, a 10-kilometer warship was reduced to a ball of metal the size of a house. Graviton weapons, General Wilson explained to his staff, though the aliens couldn't hear him. We figured out how to weaponize gravity itself. Their shields are designed to stop energy and matter. But gravity isn't either of those things. It's the fabric of space-time itself. More Earth ships kept rising from the planet. 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. Each one piloted by humans who had trained their entire lives for this moment. They had studied every record from the crashed alien ship. They knew Dominion tactics, Dominion weaknesses, Dominion arrogance. Commander Vex watched in horror as another of his warships crumpled like paper. Then another. And another. His invincible fleet was being destroyed by a species they had dismissed as primitive. "All ships retreat," Vex ordered. "Get us out of here." But as the Dominion fleet tried to turn and run, they discovered Earth's third surprise. The network of satellites in space activated fully, creating an interdiction field around the solar system. The Dominion ships found their hyperspace drives wouldn't work. They couldn't run. They couldn't escape. "Welcome to Earth," General Wilson said quietly, though he knew the aliens couldn't hear him. "You came here thinking you were the predators and we were the prey. But you forgot one thing. On Earth, even the sheep have teeth." Commander Vex gripped his command chair as another explosion rocked his flagship. Outside the viewports, the space around Earth had become a graveyard of Dominion ships. Massive warships that had conquered worlds now floated as twisted metal, crushed by humanity's graviton weapons. "Shields at 30%, Cora shouted over the alarms. "We've lost 300 ships. Sir, we need to do something." Vex's 4 arms trembled with rage and fear. In all their conquests, the Dominion had never lost more than a dozen ships. Now, in just 20 minutes, they had lost over half their fleet. The humans weren't just defending, they were hunting. The Earth ships moved in coordinated patterns, like schools of fish or flocks of birds. When one turned, 100 turned with it. When one fired, they all fired. It was beautiful and terrifying to watch. The Dominion's massive warships were too slow to track them, too clumsy to fight back effectively. "Contact the homeworld," Vex ordered desperately. "Tell them we need reinforcements." "I can't, sir," Cora replied. "The humans are jamming our long-range communications. We're cut off." On Earth, General Wilson watched the battle from his command center. Around him, his staff coordinated the attack with cold efficiency. Every move had been planned, practiced, perfected over decades of preparation. "Admiral Johnson, take Squadron 7 around their left flank," Wilson ordered. "Colonel Smith, your bombers are clear to engage their command ship." The Earth fleet responded instantly. Squadron 7, 500 small fighters, swept around the Dominion formation like a swarm of metal hornets. The bombers, slightly larger ships carrying heavier graviton weapons, locked onto Vex's flagship, but humanity wasn't done revealing its secrets. From the moon's surface, massive doors opened. The moon, Earth's quiet companion for billions of years, had been transformed into the ultimate weapons platform. Humanity had spent 30 years hollowing out portions of it, installing weapons that made their ship-mounted ones look like toys. "Sir," Captain Maria said to General Wilson, "Lunar Base Alpha requests permission to fire." Wilson nodded. Permission granted. Target their largest remaining ships. On the moon, a cannon the size of a city block powered up. It drew energy from fusion, reactors buried deep in the lunar rock. When it fired, the beam was invisible to the naked eye, a concentrated stream of gravitons that crossed the distance to the Dominion fleet in seconds. The beam hit a Dominion battleship. The massive vessel didn't explode or crumple. Instead, it simply ceased to exist, every atom scattered across space by the gravitational shear. One moment it was there, the next it was gone, leaving only a cloud of elementary particles. Commander Vex watched his battleship disappear and felt something he had never experienced before: true fear. The Dominion had always been the apex predator, the species that other races told scary stories about. Now he understood what it felt like to be prey. "Sir, incoming transmission from Earth," Cora announced. General Wilson's face appeared on their main screen. He looked calm, almost bored. Behind him, humans worked at their stations with professional efficiency. "Commander Vex," Wilson said, "I'm going to give you one chance. Surrender now, and we'll allow your surviving ships to leave. Continue fighting, and we'll destroy every last one of you." Vex's pride warred with his survival instinct. The Dominion never surrendered. They were the conquerors, the superior species. But as he watched another of his ships vanish under lunar cannon fire, he realized the truth. The humans weren't just defending their world. They were sending a message to the entire galaxy. "You planned this," Vex said, his voice hollow. "You knew we were coming." Wilson smiled slightly. "We've known about you for 50 years, Commander. Ever since we found one of your crashed scout ships. We studied your technology, your history, your tactics. We knew that someday you would come for Earth, so we prepared." "But how?" Vex demanded. "How did you advance so quickly? It should have taken you centuries to reach this level. You underestimated." "U.S.," Wilson replied simply. "You saw our public face, the wars, the divisions, the primitive technology we showed the galaxy. You never suspected that beneath it all, humanity was united in a single purpose, to be ready for you." The Earthships continued their relentless attack. Dominion warships fell one after another, crushed by gravity or erased by lunar cannons. The hunters had become the hunted, and they were being hunted by a species that had turned survival into an art form. Commander Vex stared at the human general on his screen. Around his flagship, the Battle of Earth continued to rage, but it was no longer a battle. It was a systematic destruction of the Dominion fleet. Only 100 of his ships remained from the original 500. "You want to know our secret, Commander?" General Wilson asked, seeing the alien's confusion. "Let me tell you a story about humanity." Wilson pressed a button, and images appeared on the screen. Images from Earth's history. Wars, disasters, plagues, but also recovery, rebuilding, advancement. "Humanity has been fighting for survival since we climbed down from the trees," Wilson continued. "We fought ice ages, predators, diseases, and most of all each other. Every challenge made us stronger, smarter, more adaptable. When we found your scout ship in 1970, we realized our greatest challenge was coming." "One crashed ship shouldn't have been enough," Vex protested. "The technology gap was too large," Wilson smiled. "You're right. But you forgot something crucial about humans. We're the only species we know of that weaponizes everything. We took your shield technology and thought, how can we make this into a weapon? We studied your hyperspace drives and asked, can we use this to make our ships faster? Every piece of technology on that crashed ship was reverse engineered, improved, and turned into both a shield and a sword. On the battlefield, the truth of Wilson's words was evident. Earth fighters teleported short distances using modified hyperspace technology, appearing behind Dominion ships before they could react. Human shields didn't just block attacks, they reflected them back at double strength. Everything the Dominion had created for conquest, humanity had perfected for survival. "But there's more," Wilson continued. "You want to know why our graviton weapons work? Why your shields can't stop them?" Vex remained silent, but his four arms gestured for Wilson to continue. "Your species developed in a binary star system with low gravity," Wilson explained. "You never needed to deeply understand gravitational forces. But Earth has relatively high gravity. We've been fighting against it every day of our existence. We understand gravity in our bones, in our blood. When we saw your technology, we realized you had ignored an entire fundamental force of the universe." Lieutenant Cora suddenly spoke up. "Commander, I'm detecting something else. The Earth ships, they're not being piloted remotely. Each one has a human inside. They're willing to die for their planet." "Of course they are," Wilson said, having heard the transmission. "That's another thing you didn't understand about humanity. We're pack animals. Threaten one of us, you annoy us. Threaten all of us, and we become something else entirely. Every pilot up there volunteered, knowing they might die. They're not fighting because we ordered them to. They're fighting for their Children, their families, their species. The lunar cannons fired again, and 2 more Dominion ships ceased to exist. The Earth fighters continued their deadly dance, picking off the alien vessels one by one. It was almost surgical in its precision. "You know what the real irony is, Commander?" Wilson asked. "We never wanted this fight. For 50 years, we've been broadcasting peaceful messages to space, hoping to find friends among the stars. We built all these weapons, hoping we'd never have to use them. But you came here with conquest in your hearts, and now you're learning what happens when you corner a species that's been surviving against the odds for millions of years." Vex's flagship shook as graviton missiles struck its weakening shields. Damage reports flooded in from all decks. His mighty warship, the pride of the Dominion fleet, was dying. "Sir," Cora said quietly, "we're down to 70 ships." Through the viewport, Vex could see Earth, still protected by its golden shield. The planet looked so peaceful, so harmless. It was the greatest deception in galactic history. Earth had pretended to be weak while building the most powerful defensive force in the known galaxy. "There's something else you should know," Wilson added. "We're not unique. Every species that survives to reach the stars has to be dangerous. The peaceful ones don't make it. The galaxy isn't full of prey waiting to be conquered, Commander. It's full of survivors, and you just attacked the wrong one." A squadron of Earth bombers locked onto Vex's flagship, their graviton weapons charged, ready to deliver the final blow. The mighty Dominion Empire, which had conquered 1,000 worlds, was about to learn its last lesson from a small blue planet. Asterisk. Commander Vex stood on the bridge of his dying flagship. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. Emergency lights bathed everything in red. Of his mighty fleet of 500 warships, only 40 remained. They huddled together like frightened animals, surrounded by thousands of Earth fighters. "Commander," Lieutenant Cora said softly, "should we ... Should we surrender?" Before Vex could answer, General Wilson appeared on the screen again. But this time, he wasn't alone. Behind him stood representatives from every nation on Earth. United faces of humanity. "Commander Vex," Wilson began, "we're going to make you an offer. Not because we have to. We could destroy your remaining ships in minutes. We're making this offer because we want you to carry a message back to the Dominion and to every other conquering species in the galaxy." Vex's 4 arms clenched. His pride screamed at him to fight to the end, but his duty to his surviving crew held him back. "What message?" "Earth is off limits," Wilson said simply. "We don't want to conquer anyone. We don't want to build an empire. We just want to be left alone to explore, to learn, to grow. But if anyone comes here with hostile intent, what happened to your fleet will seem like mercy compared to what we'll do next time." The Earth fighters suddenly pulled back, creating a corridor of empty space leading away from Earth. "You single quotes letting us go?" Cora asked in disbelief. 37 ships, Wilson corrected. "We're letting 37 of your ships leave. They will carry survivors and our message. The other 3 ships will remain here as salvage. We're always interested in new technology to study." Vex felt rage burning in his chest. "You're taking our ships as trophies?" "No," Wilson replied. "We're taking them as teaching tools. We'll learn from them, improve our defenses, and be ready for anyone else who thinks Earth is an easy target. Consider it payment for the lesson you've learned today." 3 Dominion ships suddenly lost power, their engines disabled by precision. Strikes from Earth fighters. Escape pods launched from them as their crews evacuated to the remaining vessels. The humans had disabled the ships without destroying them. Another display of their precise control over the battle. "You have 10 minutes to leave our solar system," Wilson announced. "The interdiction field will be lowered for exactly that. Long, when you return to Dominion space, tell them this. Earth is protected. We have weapons you've never imagined and the will to use them. We've hidden our true strength for 50 years. Imagine what we'll have in another 50. Vex looked at his surviving fleet, then at Earth, shining blue and defiant behind its golden shield. He had come here as a conqueror and was leaving as a messenger. The humiliation burned, but survival mattered more than pride. All remaining. "Ships," Vex commanded, his voice heavy with defeat. "Prepare for emergency hyperspace jump." As the Dominion fleet prepared to flee, Wilson added one more thing. "Commander, you called us primitive when you arrived. But being primitive isn't about technology. It's about mindset. You came here thinking that might makes right, that the strong should rule the weak. That's primitive thinking. We've learned that true strength comes from protecting others, not conquering them." The interdiction field dropped. The 37 surviving Dominion ships jumped to hyperspace immediately, fleeing like scared animals. They left behind the wreckage of hundreds of their finest warships, floating like metal tombstones around Earth. As soon as they were gone, the Earth fleet began to disperse. The fighters returned to their hidden bases. The lunar cannons powered. Down, the golden shield around Earth flickered and faded. To any distant observer, Earth would once again look like a harmless, primitive world. In his command center, General Wilson turned to his staff. "Well done, everyone. Operation Guardian is a success." Captain Maria stepped forward. "Sir, do you think they'll be back?" "No," Wilson said confidently. "They'll spread the word about what happened here. And that message will travel faster than any ship. Within a year, every spacefaring civilization will know that Earth is not to be touched." He looked up at the stars visible through a skylight. "We've sent our message to the galaxy. Earth is not a victim. Earth is not prey. Earth is a guardian that sleeps with one eye open, ready to defend itself and perhaps one day to defend others." Outside, life on Earth continued as normal. Most people would never know how close they had come to conquest, or how thoroughly humanity had prepared for this day. The secret would be kept, the weapons hidden, waiting for the next threat. Because humanity had learned the most important lesson of survival. The deadliest predator is the one that nobody sees coming. Asterisk.